All right, everybody, welcome to the third episode of the Key in the Lake podcast. I am Jake Cookie, your host, and also with my co-host, Wilson Torres.
Hey, what's up, Chicago?
What is up, Chicago?
Oh, lots is going on in Chicago. I mean, the temperatures are to be going up out of the deep freeze that we've been experiencing the last year.
Okay, well, that's very entertaining podcasting right there, talking about the weather on a whiskey podcast. Yes, we can stay warm while drinking whiskey, and we can put some cocktail mixing in it while it gets warmer. We all know that, but what are we drinking today?
Oh, today we have actually a bottom shelfer, is what they're called. We have Old Forester's 100 proof straight bourbon. Anywhere between $25 to $28 in the market, depending on where you purchase your bourbons and or whiskeys. It is, to my understanding, and don't quote me on this, it is the
I'm going to quote you all
blend
day.
of barrels that didn't make Old Forester's birthday bourbon cut that they put out every year on their birthday. And they rebottle it into this lovely, delicious concoction that is, as mentioned, $25 to $28 in the market right now. It's 100 proof. It's anywhere between 6 to 8 years old, I want to say.
Yeah, definitely. It's a pretty cool combination. Obviously, Old Forester is one of our favorites, kind of go-to for like a house party. You're always to have on your shelf at home. So this is kind of a little special edition for us to have here this afternoon while we record live from Beguile Brewing.
Big up
yes,
to Beguile.
Once again, big ups. We had a mead downstairs, I believe, a banana mead. Was that?
It was a banana Foster's mead, to be
we
exact.
thought we were getting hoaxed into something, but we weren't really sure what was going on. But it just tasted like a runt banana with a little bit of butterscotch and caramel taste to it. But it turned out to be pretty good. So Kevin, the owner of Beguile, wasn't trying to fool his two good friends by making us drink any poison or anything like that. So that's a good start to the day.
A very good start
to the afternoon. But we are here to talk about whiskey. Anything that you have coming up here in the future? It is March in Chicago, which is a huge month for Chicago and whiskey. At the end of the month, we celebrate Whiskey Fest and Whiskey Week here in Chicago. So I'm sure Union Horse and Wilson have some fun stuff going on.
Yeah, we do. We have some. I have a prime, a warm up, if you will, going a couple weekends before during St. Patty's Day. I have a couple little tastings out there. So look out for me. Go to any social media platform and just type in at 312 MADE, 312 MADE, and usually
is this a shout out to yourself?
Yeah, of course. You know. Toot your own horn sometimes. Check it out. I always post where I'm at, where I'm going, or where you can pick up a bottle or pick up a taste of Union Horse Distilling's.
Anything you're looking forward to specifically?
Yeah, I am looking forward to actually bringing this brand that I represent in front of thousands. Don't get me wrong. I try to do my best to bring it in front into hundreds, but this event filled week at the end of March, the last full week of March, is just prime to really put the brand in front of thousands, and from whiskey connoisseurs to the beginning whiskey geek.
Yeah, definitely.
It is going to be a great week from that Tuesday evening all the way through Friday night. It's going to be awesome.
That sounds good. Yeah, it'll be a fun time. We'll be definitely out there taking photos, writing about it. Hopefully we can get some conversations with people. We already have some lined up,
We do have some lined up, yes.
So that'll be a fun time, but hopefully get some people from out of town too. The Whiskey Fest itself is kind of more of a lot of big players to do it. And then throughout the week we have events scattered throughout. So we'll definitely keep you guys updated on all of that. As we go out into the market, Benny's has a big festival during the day. I think Fountainhead is doing something almost every single night. Fountainhead is an awesome whiskey bar and restaurant here in Chicago, up here on the north side, as the air kicks back on in the upstairs of Beguile. We'll try to keep the sound at a minimum, but we'll see what happens here with that. But yeah, it's a fun week. It's definitely a good chance for you to go out. For anybody, you can buy tickets to things that are free, or tickets that are free, and not purchase anything with those. And you can spend, anywhere from like $10 to $200+ for tickets for big events and small events. They kind of range throughout the week. So definitely, we'll keep you updated when we're doing all that out in the field. But until then, I want to talk about my last week over in Texas, which was I was really excited about to go to Texas and to escape the weather, as you talked about, hinted about in the very beginning of the podcast. It turned out though that it was very cold the entire time, and I didn't really have any whiskey on hand. I was going to bring a bottle, then I had to check a bag, and didn't want to deal with all that stuff, so I didn't bring anything with me, thinking, oh, I'm going to Austin. Well, technically, I was about 25 minutes east of Austin, so not Boston. So I didn't really get a chance to do much. There was one brewery there. Stopped by, had a little brew, had some beer each night. The best thing that I can say I had was probably a Lone Star after a hard day of working outside in the rain and the wind. But no whiskey, unfortunately. I was just really disappointed about that. I wanted to have
or anything?
nothing. I mean, it was just it was no Shinerbach. Is that what you asked me?
Yeah.
There was plenty of Shinerbach around me. I decided to go for more of the craft interest, and then also at the Lone Star as my main choice. So
you're in Texas. And
I know. And there's so many good distilleries popping up there.
From Balcones, you couldn't even indulge in that.
I know. So Balcones is one of my favorite brands. It was one of my introductions into craft distilling many years ago. The Baby Blue, all corn, 100% corn whiskey.
100% blue corn
is so good, so tasty. One of my favorite whiskeys still to this day. When anybody would ask me, probably within the last up to maybe the last year or so, you kind of get away from it as you drink more and more. But probably 4 years in a row, if somebody asked me what's my favorite whiskey, I'd think about it a little bit, maybe talk about the current distillery or other companies I was working for, just to delay the answer a little bit. But when I really thought about it, had a minute to kind of ponder on it, I would always come back to that Baby Blue. Really good stuff. Definitely, if you're ever in Texas and or if you're just shopping around looking for a nice little bottle, they have anything from like that $35, $38 price range. It's gone down quite a bit, and then they have some limited edition stuff that gets over the $100 price range, but everything in between too. Definitely a good choice. But yeah, some of our friends that used to work at Balcones will be disappointed that I did not try any while I was down there. Just mostly Lone Stars and some other beers. But I want to give a shout out to Bastrop Brewing Co. Had some good beer there. But other than that, not too much whiskey, unfortunately. I was looking forward to it.
Funny about Texas whiskey is interesting in a sense because craft distilleries down there, like the guys over at Balcones, really do take advantage of that Texas heat. And for some reason, they can just plop their barrels outside if they really needed to. And what would normally take a craft distillery up north, call it a good 4 to 6 years, they can achieve it in 3 to 4, I would say, considering the heat that they get. And then the cold snap isn't really long. So did you experience the full cold snap, or was it just the whole time, or just a few days?
Of the weather.
Yeah.
It was 75 when I landed, and the next day it was about 42 and rainy and windy with like 25-mile-per-hour winds. But nobody wants to hear us talk about the weather, really, because
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I know you're really excited about what's coming up. I mean, we're going to hit 50 in a couple 2-3 days. So
exactly.
I'm really excited about it.
For those of you that don't know, Chicago is a big outdoor summer city. We drink on patios. We drink in the park. We drink at the lake. We drink everywhere we possibly can for about 3 to 4 months, because then we are inside the rest of the year. So we really, really, really love our time out on patios. When it's 50 degrees here on, I think, Saturday or Sunday, people will literally open their patios for the first time, and people will go drink on those when it's 50 degrees, wearing like their parkas still, because it's still windy here and cold. But yeah, it's kind of what we do. We're definitely going to be talking about some spring cocktails coming up probably here in the near future with our the podcast. But everything else in between, then we'll see kind of what comes up with everything this month. You're going down to South Carolina, right?
I'm going for a long weekend.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm leaving on a Friday early afternoon. And
Gotcha.
I'll be back on early Monday, so I can hit the market.
Any distilleries you can check out down there?
Yeah, actually, I'm going to go check out Charleston Distilling Co.
Cool.
Down in Charleston. They actually are going to be moving into a new, bigger space, because they are getting a 50-foot still column. So their current space that is in smack dab middle of Charleston won't facilitate that.
Nice.
So they got to go out into the country. So they're going from King Street, downtown Charleston, to Johns Island.
Very cool.
Which is considered countryside to them. And then I'll be heading over to a place called Hometown Barbecue.
All right.
in West Ashley.
He's licking his lips if you can't tell.
Yeah,
Well, you can't tell because it's a podcast.
The 2019 cocktail competition winner is the actual head bartender there. So
Nice.
I pinged her now that she's actually the official cocktail of the Charleston Wine and Food Fest that's currently going on right now.
Cool.
So I'll be meeting them. And then I'll be also meeting Virgil Kane, another South Carolina distillery. Very excited to meet them as well.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's going to be a great trip.
Yeah, just
Short,
kind of,
but great.
yeah. Just the last thing, kind of, we have a special guest this episode, Matthew Brown from Blaum Brothers. He's a self-proclaimed sales boy of the company. Whenever he wants to talk about that and what that job description entails, he can definitely do that as he comes on. We're going to talk about kind of what's going on in legislation right now with craft distillers here in Illinois.
Yes.
It's really cool. They're down lobbying on Wednesday to try to allow distillers to sell more proof gallons outside of their tap room and gift shops. Right now, the current legislation allows for 25 gallons per year to be sold out of tap rooms and gift shops. It's not a very high number for some craft distillers because some have been around for 8 to 10 years. For other ones, it's a very high mark to approach, and I could see definitely that some other ones have nothing to worry about it, but some of the bigger guys, people that have a lot of plans for expansion, they want to have all that opportunity, the opportunity to also sell other distilleries and other spirits out of their tap room. So that might be having a full bar and being able to do that. So there's a lot of opportunity there for craft distillers to grow, which only creates more business for the state. But if you aren't familiar with Illinois or Chicago in general, with our with our laws and all of our interests, it's a bit of a shifty organization, shifty state, if you will, shifty city. It's called the Windy City for a reason, but I'm not going to say that because it's been played out too much.
It is a challenge. It is a challenge, but it's fun.
Yeah,
it's still fun. I mean, it
definitely is.
What can you do? It's a tax on tax on tax.
Yeah.
But I represent obviously a distillery that's not in the state of Illinois, but we do have good friends that are obviously part of Illinois-based distilleries, and we can't help but root for them, and hope that they are able to grow their business. That's essentially this is what it's all about.
Definitely.
Growing your business, being able to reach out into further markets. A lot of guys they're uber local because the current legislation in place doesn't allow for them to grow. So that being said, they won't be, why invest if it's not going to go anywhere? So they, this is going to allow them to really, truly grow their small businesses. Yeah,
and that's what every opportunity or every business wants to do when they first start anyway. And probably a lot of these distillers had no idea how much they were actually going to produce in a single year when they first started. They just wanted to get out on the shelves. Yeah. Now, which is great, is actually shows the expansion of these distilleries that how much they want to sell out of their gift shops, out of their tasting rooms as well. So it's pretty exciting time for that. I will let Matt mostly talk about that, his experience down there, organizing with other distillers. And that's one of the cool opportunities I want to really talk about as well, is that this is a very tight-knit community. Like the breweries, the distilleries can be very tight-knit. And when you have multiple distilleries going down to Springfield, which is the capital of Illinois, to lobby on the part of this whole industry, this whole craft industry. It's really cool to see the collaboration and uniting of that and see how it all worked out for them. Other than that, we'll probably have Matt come on here real soon. I think he just got up to Beguile. He just texted me. So, it'll definitely be good to talk to Matt about all that stuff, even though he is a Liverpool fan and I'm an Everton fan. We'll bring that up, I'm sure. But until now, we'll speak to you. We'll speak to you in a couple minutes, and we'll have Matt along with us from Blaum Brothers. See you in a bit. All right, we're back, everybody. Matt is here with us. Wilson wants to give you the formal introduction because he has a saying that goes along with him.
If you're not down with Matt Brown, then you're just not down at all, period. Once you meet Matt, you either are a fan, you're in love with him, or you can just not say any two shits about him and you can just turn around and walk through
I think he's going to kiss him now.
I may just have to kiss Matt.
Let me tell you. Not many people walk away. It's usually the former. Hello.
Welcome, Matt.
Hi, guys.
Thanks for joining us today.
It's my pleasure.
You have beer, you have whiskey, you got a microphone, so
yes.
all good to go from there. Matt's here basically, like I said earlier with our introduction, is that he's here to talk about the lobbying that's going on for craft distillers to be able to sell more and basically become on par with other people inside of the alcohol industry, if that's fair enough.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Ted, take us through what happened on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
give us a
yes.
little.
Well,
take
yeah,
you know what I mean?
definitely.
You're just not Matt
We should just
Brown.
jump in here. Maybe talk about where
we're
you
both
fit into
excited
this whole
about
industry.
Sure.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
Give us a little synopsis of who Matt Brown is.
Okay, hello. My name is Matthew Brown.
I'm a Liverpool
I'm from
fan.
Oak Park, Illinois, born and raised. I weigh 190 pounds.
Dang.
I'm about 5 foot 10 inches.
I would have given you 5'11".
Oh, thank you. 5'10 and a half. We'll meet in the middle. Okay, so I work for Blaum Brothers Distilling Company out of Galena, Illinois. We've been around for 5 years. So we are one of the 28 member distilleries of the ICDA, Illinois Craft Distillers Association. So we are the lobbying trade organization, craft guild for Illinois distilleries. Did I mention this? 26 or 28 members, something like that. 28. So yeah. So the big push this legislative session is for what Jake you were mentioning is basically parity with Illinois' winemakers and brewers. So so we're asking for a few things from Illinois lawmakers. One is limited self-distribution. Now, this isn't something like that Blaum Brothers really needs, or it's not even like in our business plan to do. But it's something that beer makers and winemakers can do, and how this would help out the little guys, you know, not little guys, but I guess little guys or newer guys in the ICDA is, you know, they're in places like Plainfield, Illinois, Peru, Illinois, DeKalb, these places that don't really have a huge distribution. Oh man, but let's put a pin in distributors.
Yeah,
I'll come back to.
Yeah,
what
let's
talking
note
about.
that. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
So-
that's when I really want to go.
Okay, yeah. So these places, these young guys who are just starting out, who might struggle at first to get a distributor to sell their products to retailers and bars, or they are in places that are just underserved by distributors. You know, they're all based in Chicago.
Right.
You know, and if you're a young distillery in Peru, you could self-distribute a little bit of your alcohol, you know, to the surrounding retailers and bars in your neighborhood, and then basically turn around and go over to a distributor and be like, hey, buddy, a couple dozen accounts already in the bank.
Yep.
How do you feel about that? And
Yep.
then a distributor is much more likely to
Definitely.
pick you up.
Correct.
So
Is this what Star Union's doing down there? Their new distillery,
exactly.
their new
That's
brand new
exactly what I was
distillery, Spirits
referencing.
Distillery, down in Peru, Illinois, which is in the western part of the state. They've been at it for 3 years building that distillery. Beautiful distillery.
Yes.
Bringing so much back to that community where
Yep.
it's not much there. If you
No.
drive through, it's right off I-80. You drive through. There's so many closed restaurants, so many closed buildings you see just from the interstate. I have family that lives down there as well, and they've been excited about this, anticipating this distillery opening because it's basically creating a community center
Definitely. Sure.
for that whole input. So it helps the state grow, it helps the city grow, it helps people
Yes.
come to that area as well because next to Starved Rock, which is a very popular hiking site. So it's going to bring in tourism back to this community, but
Yeah.
with distributors, it can.
right. So
Did they occupy what was at one point either a brewery or a distillery?
There was an old clock,
It was an old-
clock
Clock
factory,
and
yeah.
it's huge.
And
this
it's haunted.
building is enormous.
It's
yeah,
haunted.
it's quite. So it's.
I don't play around with that.
It's like no,
Yeah,
Because-
I'm not.
ghosts. Anyway, so
Bad juju.
it's like 250,000
I see
square
dead
feet.
people.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's huge.
Stop.
Yeah, it's huge.
It is big.
Yeah, so
The
it's
space.
Yes. The space is It's enormous. So they're actually not the only facility in that.
But yeah, kind of getting back to your main point is
It's
that
like a co-op or something?
yeah,
I mean,
it's
there's
gonna-
like a salon there. There's a yoga studio. There's like a jewelry factory and
Yeah.
stuff. Like they're all in the same spot.
And so what Matt's kind of alluding to with these new bills kind of passing, they're not going to sell based on distribution because there's not a lot of stores around there to purchase from. But
Yeah.
people are going to come to their distillery to drink, to hang out, and that's what their sales are going to be based off of.
Yeah.
So how that can help those distilleries, if you want to go into that.
Exactly. So
I need more Old Forester.
yes. So I'll really quickly touch on this too. So winemakers and beer can self-distribute a little bit. Liquor can't. We have to sell through the 3-tier system.
Correct.
So the distributors, what I'm talking about is a distillery has to sell to a distributor who sells to the retailer, to the end consumer. So I can sell 2 ways, to a distributor right now or out of my front of house.
Yep.
So that comes to the second thing that we're really looking for this legislative season that's kind of existentially affecting Blaum Brothers is right now we can only sell 2,500 proof gallons from our doors, either bottles or from our bar. So we hit that last year, 2018. We hit 2,500 gallons.
Before the holidays.
By about mid-November, we started making this plan for hitting that ceiling. And December 15, we pulled all the bottles from our gift shop, and just had to. Yeah, I mean, we couldn't sell anything. We still had our bar, so we could still sell cocktails.
But you couldn't sell packaged goods.
We couldn't sell packaged
Wow.
goods from our door.
Now, I mean, not to play devil's advocate, but how much do you think you missed out on?
Especially during the holiday season.
Especially during the holidays.
As someone who used to
In
manage,
Galena. Now, if you guys don't know Galena, Illinois,
1.2 million unique visitors to Galena
I mean,
a year,
how-
according to the Chamber of Commerce.
and how much of that is over the holidays because it's
I mean, nearly all of it.
Exactly.
I mean, we have a
I
ski
would
hill.
say, yeah.
There's a ski hill in Galena.
And then before that, it was the whiskey. No,
Yeah.
that was just
That
this
was
past-
January,
That was
yeah.
January.
because if for people who are unfamiliar with Galena, Galena is one of the river cities, towns, if you will, Mississippi River, that built up tourism. They built these basically places to come, tourist attractions. There's some other places like LeClaire, Iowa, down down the river, and it's just expanded every single year. And
Yeah.
Blaum Brothers definitely helps with that. So there's always a high amount of tourism that comes through from the holiday season, and also during the summer, spring months as well.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of taking from a guy who used to manage a gift shop, a tasting room for a distillery.
Yeah, I did that. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, you know the rush that you get, and you know how often. Now, see, that's the thing. When you see yourself getting to that point of reaching that maximum, you kind of start hating the fact that you're in this system.
Right.
It's just not a hate, because I don't like to use that word because it's a strong word, but you start to panic
Well,
because you
to
know.
put it
Frustration.
this way, quite frankly, we felt punished by our own success.
That's
you know?
Absolutely.
correct,
I mean, the
yes,
20,
punished.
and here's the thing, 2,500 proof gallons is maybe about, oh man, that's a lot of bottles, but it's not a crazy amount. And considering
12,
too,
1,300 bottles.
right,
Yeah.
a couple years ago, that limit was 5,000.
Huh.
Like it recently,
Oh.
I didn't know that
in a
recruited.
recent in a
I
recent
didn't know
craft
that was
distillery omnibus bill where we got some other concessions.
Interesting.
They took it down to 2,500 gallons. So
Was there a reason for that?
No,
Just
I mean it was compromises with the distributor.
just
lobbies.
Illinois politics.
Exactly. So we want that raised to 10,000, which is still pretty modest.
Yeah.
So and that 10,000 gallons, that proof gallons that we can sell out the front door isn't coming from nowhere. It's at it comes from this. 3%. So craft distilleries in the United States have 3% of the market share in
Okay.
distilling, in spirits. Of that 3%, 90% of those distilleries sell less than 10,000 proof gallons in a
Wow.
year.
Oh wow.
So it's fairly comprehensive because almost everyone with a craft distillery license sells below that. So yeah.
That's 12,800 bottles.
Wilson's
Yeah.
doing math. I like it.
Yeah.
We're probably not going to sell that much. I mean, it would be great.
For
but-
10,000, that's what it
Yeah.
is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So It would be
But-
it would go,
I may not have carried.
But
the
what if,
proper-
I mean, there always is that that potential opportunity that someone comes in and is like, hey, I want to buy $1,000 from 1,000 bottles from my company.
Well, there's just so many opportunities. There's so many applications.
Yeah.
There's catering. There's
Yeah.
there's just so much. There's so many.
What if some
Wilson,
event?
I'm so glad you brought up catering. So here's
This is a subject
another
that Matt
thing
seems
we're
very
looking
excited
for.
about.
This is why, like I said, I've shared this with Matt on a face-to-face level.
That's
Matt
a lie.
is-
We've never met before.
This is true, and only in our dreams, because I dream about a market that's full of individuals like a Mr. Matt Brown here that really do put their passion, their intelligence, and their own self-being and personality into what we do on a day-to-day basis, and it makes the industry that much more fun.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
And also, I have to do that because this is the only thing I can do now. this
Are you tired?
this is it. Yeah, I'm in forever.
What, even non-compete for the whole world?
Yeah, well, yes, and
And
this
you're
is
again.
all that's on my resume. After
Yeah,
all, it's just
right, yeah.
being in bars and restaurants, and now this.
Definitely.
So I, Wilson, I said, I'm so glad you brought this up, and then I forgot what you brought.
Catering.
Okay.
We're going back to catering.
So
we have
then we
pin
pin
distributors. Yeah.
yes. Okay. No, I got to that, didn't we?
Yeah, we got it. I
we'll
mean,
talk about
I
that
think
later.
Wilson
Well, I
probably
think
has some more
we can-
frustration
we
still
can
to talk
talk
about.
about
Yeah,
this
you never
later.
know.
We can talk more about that.
So catering. So currently, winemakers and brewers from their tasting rooms or brew pubs can sell other companies' wines, spirits, and beers, which makes them also great, attractive options for special events, weddings, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know what? Distillers can't. They can't do it. They can only sell what they make,
We can only say what we can make. We make correct.
which is crazy. And I mean, it just seems like a no-brainer, guys. If
Yeah.
we were allowed to do that, not only we would basically be the customers of the distributors then
Definitely,
too,
yep.
because we'd be
Right.
buying stuff from them.
And what we lose though in that, pardon me for interrupting, I think we lose track of the fact that we're not the distributor's customer. They're ours.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a good point.
We lose track of that when we're out in the market.
That's
Because
mean-
we know we have to depend
And you
on
see that frustration. I mean, I'm not gonna name out names, not gonna say distributors or anything like that, or even the brands. But you can go to a bar and as a rep for a distillery and say, all right, we're gonna buy 10, we're gonna buy 12 bottles. That's 2 cases of alcohol right there. And then you can go to the distributor and say, I got you. Here you go. Here's 2 cases to go ahead and sign it. And they
Yes.
can say no. And that can cut off your sales. That can cut off your sales of your distillery.
Yes.
Cut off your personal sales, which you try to make as a salesman as well when it comes to bonuses. And just having it out there and wanting your product to be more present inside of an industry, inside of a community.
Right.
Like in Chicago, where it's such an ever-competing industry with just ourselves as craft distillers.
True.
So for context, so as far as the 3-tier system goes in, and this is going kind of back to distributors, what we had pinned.
We're taking the pin out.
We're taking a pin
Of
out.
the voodoo.
A pin out of the voodoo doll. So, for instance, I'm the sales manager for Blaum Brothers, so I do a lot of
I thought I was sales
face-to-face.
boy.
I'm the sales wench for Blaum Brothers. I'm the buttery scullion for Blaum Brothers. So I can go in and talk to you if you own a bar or you do the buying for a bar until I'm blue in the face about buying our product. But to get you over the line, also, I can't legally quote your price on what my stuff
No.
is.
Correct.
I mean, most of us do anyways, but, you know. Anyway, so
That
I
stays
have
between
to...
us and our 10 listeners.
Yes. Okay. So, so
10 more today.
to get a sale, I have to then turn around and talk to the distributor rep and be like, hey, Wilson's Tavern is interested in a case of Blaum Brothers, and then you pretty much have no follow through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or no, you have no way of directly making someone follow through or whatever. You're just totally up to the whim of the distributor rep, depending on how much they like you, how much they like your brand that month
Definitely.
or whatever.
And that's true. That's a very good point. But at the same time, I, like Matt, am this, the sales wench for my current, distillery. But I think what I've learned.
Couple of wenches on this side of the table.
I am
That's
nobody's
funny. You
wench.
see how Jake has adjusted himself? He like kind of like.
He took a power move. We're both leaning towards one mic. Jake is leaning back.
I'm leaning back with one mic,
With
kind of
one mic.
sticking up, kind of on my laying on my stomach, if you will.
His personal assistant is fanning him with a large palm frond.
Yeah.
I'm so hot. If he could turn a little bit and get all three of us.
It is
Please.
62 degrees up here in the top warehouse entrance part of Beguile, so I think it's cool enough for all of us. But I'm wearing a sweatshirt, so I guess you guys are too. But that's why I hired this young man to wave me down with this nice little palm tree branch. So it's very nice, very relaxing.
But at the same time, like I was saying, I mean,
It's also because I'm an Everton fan.
we don't. You're right. We don't have that control of our distributors. But at the same time, I've taken a firm kind of grip of the situation, if
Yeah,
I'm right,
sure.
of the sales
Yes.
process, I guess you can call it, and
I guess.
strong arm it through. So I
Yeah,
don't
that's
hold
true.
hands anymore.
Yeah,
No.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, hey, I got this.
definitely.
I immediately call the rep. If the rep's like, oh, well, I'm like, all right, no problem. I immediately get that rep's district manager involved.
Yes.
Okay.
Because we, in the craft spirits world, we are fighting for the same shelf space.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
if my bottle doesn't get on there before Matt's, I'm fucked.
Right.
I got to wait another
Yeah.
year maybe.
Definitely.
Or a couple quarters or the change of seasons where they see that, all right, Blaum Brothers is doing well. We're going to keep them on the shelf. What's not moving
Right.
that
Yeah.
we can replace with Wilson stuff?
And before Matt got here, we talked about how
You guys were talking before I got here.
just a little bit behind your back, pretty much.
Love.
Just a little.
About you a little bit too.
Yeah, fine. Whatever.
About Steven
I'll
Gerrard.
hear it. I'll hear it.
It's mostly about Steven Gerrard
This is true.
slipping,
He-
but no. We're talking about how
Oh, boy.
how basically how the distilleries can unite on these single causes, if you will, or even how
Yes.
it can be a tight knit community. And it's very much exemplified right here with you two. Wilson's distillery is out of Kansas City, as many of you know, but at the same time, he works in this market, and you guys can sit down and have this conversation together. What kind of brings us back to that whole bill is it bringing distilleries together so they can all basically prosper.
Yeah.
And we're not going to compete with the big guys, obviously. I don't know why I'm saying we.
I
I feel like I have a voice for craft distilleries because I've only worked in craft distilling, but I just write about it and now podcast about it. But at the same time, it's really cool to see how the unification is here at this table, but also within the bill of this
Yeah.
of the state too.
One of my colleagues at the ICDA, Nick Nagley, the president of, our vice president and co-founder of Whiskey Acres Distiller from DeKalb, calls us calls it co-opetition
Yeah.
or something like that. So
I like that.
at the end of the day, we're all on the same side. I mean, all truly, the rising tide lifts all boats, and we're all
Absolutely.
at the end of the day, we all just want people to drink a little differently, hopefully drink a little better.
Some
Yeah.
boats are bigger than others. Though, I'm just
Some boats are bigger than others.
Well, but it's interesting. I mean, like I see commercials for big distilleries on TV.
Yes.
And they don't even have their correct history in the commercial.
No.
And you're just thinking, here's these guys who've been around for 10 years, 8 years, whatever it may be in the last decade. And they can tell you face to face, this is how we started. This was our plans. This is where we want to go. And for the state not to recognize that, where it's only going to enhance everybody when it comes to profits of the state, profits of the community, profits of the distillery as well. And that's not going to take away from making really great product. You're still going to be a craft distillery hand making all this stuff in your small distilleries.
Small.
Because the jump from 2,500 to 10,000 is not extreme when it comes to potential.
correct. And
It's a large gap when you think about it as selling. There's a lot of money in between to gather a lot of that, but you're still not crafting like, doing a constant distillation throughout every single day. You're still doing what? What do you guys do? 2 distillations a day?
We can pretty much make 70 gallons of whiskey a day,
Okay.
which is like a barrel plus a quarter of a barrel.
Yeah.
It's not a ton.
Are you guys doing 52 gallons? 52 gallons?
Yeah,
53
53 gallon
now.
barrels. Everything is, we don't have,
Six.
yeah.
Good.
For a couple of years now, we have about 800 barrels laid down, all 53 gallon barrels,
Yeah.
mostly bourbon and rye, but we have some other fun stuff.
Cool.
Who knows?
So what was the feedback of this week?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
thank you. So, I went down there with some key ICDA members. Noelle DiPrizio is our president, so she's the co-founder of Chicago Distilling, Whiskey Acres, Black Dog Distilling out of Plainfield. the guys from Peru.
Yeah.
What's that
Star
place?
Union.
Star Union, of course. Really cool brandy distillery.
Yeah, definitely.
So we went down there with a couple of a group of people who really spanned the whole state, and the response we got from the lawmakers was like, "Great, this is all common sense. You guys are just looking for parity with winemakers and brewers. You know, this sounds great." And then they would invariably ask, "Who opposes this?" And then, of course, then we would say, "Well, WSDI, Wine and Spirits Distributor of Illinois, the big distributor lobbying group." And then they'd say, "Oh, okay, all right, well, interesting." So
just like anything else in politics, whoever is representing the most amount of money gets the largest voice.
So here's the thing. WSDI is super old. They've been in Springfield forever. They're super well connected to politicians. But at the end of the day, I think what we have is a very popular bill. Here's the thing, though. Lawmakers, regardless of what side of the aisle they're on, regardless of their small business, big business, you know, wherever they come from in the state of Illinois, they don't want to have a bill like this that's about distilleries, not like minimum wage or like marriage equality. It's not this like sexy social justice issue. It's about distilleries. So they don't want to come to the floor and have this tumultuous time passing a bill that gets past 7-6 or whatever. They don't want to do that. They're like, so when they hear there's oppositions, they say, "Look, get with the distributors, iron this out."
Yeah.
Because we don't want to have to have we want you guys to present a bill with the help of the distributors that you will all agree on.
Yep.
So that's so now the task is to make sure we have good presence with our lawmakers, so they will turn back to distributors and tell them the same thing. Tell them that they need to compromise with us.
So you think you'll meet halfway in the middle somewhere?
Sure, no one gets a full loaf.
Yeah. And
but-
5,000 would help out, obviously, with you guys.
Sure.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
need to say is that Blaum Brothers is one of the bigger craft distilleries in Illinois. So when you guys have to shut down your doors of selling those bottles off the shelf during the holidays last year, that's a very, as you gave the stats earlier, it's a very minor amount of companies that are facing that problem.
Yeah.
But we are also
Just
all
us.
growing. We're also
Exactly.
all wanting to have more tap rooms, more
Right.
spaces to sell those stores.
And that's what I was saying in Springfield too. Like this year, it was Blaum Brothers. Next year it'll be Blaum Brothers and CH. Then a year after that it'll be Blaum Brothers, CH, Whiskey Acres, Star Union. You know.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, Star Union, they might be young, but they are, like you said, 5 miles away from Starved Rock,
Absolutely.
one of the most popular tourist destinations in Illinois. So,
And there's
we're all heading there.
Absolutely. There's places out in like Montana. I think it's Glacier Distilling out by Glacier Park out there in Montana. They rely solely on customers driving by because they have 2 million visitors that come by every single year and drive right past their distillery. They have a tap room, a small distillery, but they don't even need distribution. They rely completely on that bottle being sold off their shelf inside of there. So as more places grow within Illinois and there becomes more of a map for distilleries to go to throughout the state, it's becoming more of a tourist destination. We see it here growing every single month with the craft distillers. Go ahead.
Yes.
This is true. You know, one thing that in regard, and we'll touch base on this, I'm sure Matt would, love the perspective that he brings because Matt's distillery, the Brown
Jake
Brothers.
just walked away.
Did you just walk away? dude?
Turning the heat back on.
That was a power move. He just walked. He left us to our own devices.
Yeah, the guy that's fanning you right now, can he get you a blanket or something?
Well, he's busy getting me a blanket, but also fanning me at the same time. So I said, "Hey, you know what,
Sorry.
kind sir, take a break, and we'll get you. I'll turn the heat on. Just follow me around that way." I can tell you guys are getting cold because
Jake's trying to pretend he's a man of the people, right? That's a big mistake.
Yeah. So out of touch.
as we're sitting here talking about craft distilleries, I'm really more about the big guys. I do have a fiance that does work for Jim Beam, so and I had some Jim Beam and Budweiser beer.
Full disclosure.
But he's also has that running through his blood too. So there's a lot going on.
What, beer
there.
or whiskey?
Whiskey.
Oh,
The Beam history.
because I drink so
Oh,
much.
yeah.
Oh,
The
yeah,
Beam
that's right.
history
Oh,
is
that's
of
right.
my
Yeah.
grandfather.
Remember from your
You
first
know, your
episode?
granddad? Yeah.
Me and Wilson listen to the show. Do you?
I don't think he listened to his own thing.
Well, part of the problem is that we drink too much, and I have no idea what I said. No, I'm just joking. Yes, there is that part of my history, but no, it's also I do appreciate craft distilling because that's where I basically have been in through my whole time through the spirits industry.
Right.
But
I think what Matt also, to get back to before I forget it,
serious notes.
Matt, maybe you can, and so many questions, but did Blaum Brothers at one point obviously since the beginning, sourced their juice?
Oh yeah.
While you all aged, what you guys wanted to bring to market.
Right.
Can you touch? And one of the things that I really, in regards to the legislation that's on the floor right now, because you sourced, does that still apply to you?
What
the 2,500?
Yeah, whatever you sell out the front door.
Anything out the front door. Okay,
anything
cool.
you sell.
All right, so you answered that question. Now you can offer us the insight as to now.
Yeah,
switching it up.
Well, yeah. How much were you sourcing? How much were you crafting?
So, the whole the mission of Blaum Brothers was to create a classic tasting, classic production, like 53-gallon barrel, long age time bourbon. That was always the mission. To get there, in the meantime, we wanted to sell whiskey too, so we bought it from MGP, formerly the Seagram's Lawrenceburg plant in Indiana. So we sourced MGP stuff for a long time. So we had our brand Notter Bourbon.
Full disclosure right there.
The NOT and the OUR in Notter and bourbon were like highlighted, so it said "Not Our Bourbon," and it said the finest straight bourbon whiskey we never distilled right on the front.
There you go.
So we sourced exactly. So we sourced whiskey for a while.
What year was that?
We started. Oh, geez, Louise. Probably in 2015. Those first bottles came out. We opened doors December 2013. We started distilling our own bourbon immediately.
Okay.
So that was always going. That was always the goal. We never wanted to be rectifiers. We never wanted to just bottle other people's stuff. But we did. It was a necessary evil, and it was fun to do. So we did that for a number of years. We released 3, 4, and eventually 5-year-old versions of Notter Bourbon as it aged. Now our most nationally well-known, renowned product is called Old Fangled Notter Bourbon, which is cask strength, small batch MGP stuff aged. It's now 12 years old.
Yeah, that's good.
So
It's very good.
So here's kind of the history with the MGP stuff. So at the beginning of doing that, it was really like pulling teeth, trying to explain to customers what source whiskey was, why we were super transparent about it. So that was the whole education piece on it.
Yeah.
It was tough, as recently, if Old Fangled fans out there might be shocked to know that as recently as November, December 2017, I was begging stores to bring it in. Now, the worm has turned, as it would, because everyone loves MGP stuff. I mean, people have
now it's come to surface.
had their come to Jesus moment where I don't care if they didn't distill it themselves, because stuff from MGP is fucking good.
Yeah, it's funny because we're talking about this right now because a friend of mine is developing her own whiskey company right now and is thinking about sourcing it from MPG. And I'm helping her do the marketing stuff and some of the graphics, working on all of that. And we were just having this conversation literally at 10 o'clock this morning over some coffee.
Yes.
And maybe some bourbon too.
Well,
what?
Of course you did.
But we were just talking about how...
Of course you did, my dear boy.
On a whiskey podcast? But we were talking about how, 5 years ago, no one even knew what MPG was. No one even knew that source distilling...
MGP.
I always mix it up.
Miles per gallon.
I always want to say MVP.
Oh,
that's
yes,
why.
Of course.
I don't know why. I'm that's where my head is. But no one even knew that basically so much whiskey was being sourced out of these distilleries.
No, I mean all of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And no one really knew that at all. And then one distillery gets sued over it, and it brings it to light. You don't have to say. You can't say it.
Templeton.
I didn't say it.
From your home state, bro.
Well, it's from my family's home, actually.
Your home state.
Yeah. Well, no, my family is actually from about 20 miles west of Templeton, somewhere around there. These little small towns.
Oh, my.
Templeton, Iowa. But but anyway, no one knew what was actually happening inside the whiskey industry, and then everybody for about a year or two gets all crazy about it, like
Yes.
I don't want to drink this whiskey.
No.
But then now everyone's really transparent about it, and you realize there is really great stuff.
If you build it. Well, yeah.
If you do build it, they will come. That's on a way opposite part of the
Lord-
state. There's a lot more to Iowa than just Field of Dreams.
Nobody cares. Anyway,
And,
so
Templeton Rye
We were
whiskey.
talking about MGP.
the distillery in Lawrenceburg, Indiana, has been making bourbon forever, basically. I mean,
I said MGP again. Is MPG.
It used to be called LDI, and it was owned by Seagram's. It was actually owned by Guinness for a while.
Yeah.
So Guinness owned a whole lot of distilleries in.
And in the 1800s, one of the largest plants like this existed in Peoria,
Yes.
Illinois.
Yep,
Actually,
absolutely.
So, yeah, it's
They
crazy.
just
I know, they
Well, this thing called
disappeared.
Prohibition.
Prohibition, right?
And then what? Only 6 survived, and then from there, how many revived from original standing?
Well, if you want to talk about going to numbers with
We're going
that,
on a tangent over here. Right now, too.
yeah, we'll stay on the focus of
Hi guys, I'm still here.
Yeah.
Matt Brown, Blaum Brothers. Hello, nice to meet
craft
you boys.
distilling.
Pin it.
They were all craft distilling back. They were actually hand making it. They were just stirring the mash. Do you guys stir your mash?
Anyway, no, we don't. We stir the mash. Who knows?
Hand by hand?
I'm not in production, guys. I'm in the sales force.
Talk about mash.
No, okay. So we
100
got
You have had your.
just
No,
corn,
I was saying
corn
going to
and rye.
how much mash was lost this week by Bart. Ooh.
I think it's an insurance scam. I'm saying it right now. They collapsed that warehouse themselves. They spilled all this mash themselves.
Yeah.
It's
No
all
one
marketing.
from Key in the Lake podcast is saying this.
I am not saying that.
Matt Brown of Blaum Brothers Distilling Company is accusing Barton, a subsidiary of Sazerac Incorporated, of insurance fraud. Mark it right now.
And
It's been a weird year for them.
So MGP. So anyways, it's good stuff. We used to buy it and then we stopped. So our distillate became ready. The first thing we bottled was a small batch of, kind of a medium-sized batch of rye whiskey that was 2 years old, and finished in Port Madera, Neutral Oak, and ex-bourbon barrels in Thanksgiving 2017. So that was called Fever River Rye. That's gone now. It's a good problem to have, It's still on some shelves and bars and stuff, but that's pretty much gone. We sold it all, along with the 5-year-old Notter bourbon. So what we have now is our straight bourbon, the stuff that we distilled.
Yep.
Our 3.
Delicious.
Thank you. Thank you. Your checks are in the mail. I appreciate it.
all right.
Yep.
First sponsor of the podcast.
So,
I know, right? That's great.
hi, this is Matt from Blaum Brothers, presenting to you Key in the Lake podcast.
Do you want to know what Key in the Lake means?
No. Anyways, so our distillate is out at the same time as Old Fangled Notter bourbon, 12-year-old cask strength MGP stuff that's become renowned as not to toot my own horn, but toot.
Yeah.
I think we have the best the best MGP bottled stuff out there.
That's another thing. Go back to it. It's when people are sourcing these barrels from larger distilleries, mass distilleries that are contracting everything out. You can go down and pick your stuff, and that's a really important part of it.
Oh, I'm about to blow your friggin' mind, Jake.
Below it.
Here it goes. MGP, other distilleries you might be able to, but MGP is a whiskey factory. You
Yes.
get what you get. There ain't no tasting what you end up purchasing.
Well,
You taste it after you purchase. You just kind of get what you get.
and there's other contractors you can buy it from that you can source
brokers.
the barrel. Brokers
We didn't.
essentially.
Okay, so we didn't do that with MGP. We just
And
bought what we bought.
these brokers are probably buying from MGP anyway, so
Yeah.
for the most
Yeah.
part. I've heard
Just admit it. Is your mind blown right now, Jake?
no, because I might have heard from somebody else that they went and tasted barrels at MGP.
It's possible.
Recently?
I don't know. That's just what we did.
I mean, obviously, you're probably buying on a much more mass amount.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's true.
So it's
more
hard.
of
So
an
it's hard to buy
volume
this. You get if you're going from barrel to barrel, you're not going to get the consistency from it anyway.
No. We're
It's-
buying hundreds of barrels.
Exactly. So
Yes.
it's a little bit different story there, and someone's sourcing maybe 50 to 100 barrels.
That's a lot of booze.
Yeah, absolutely. So how much are you still sourcing now?
None.
None at all.
None.
That's right.
Everything
Nope.
Yeah, everything's cut up,
we
right?
haven't. We haven't bought any MGP stuff in years.
That's
great.
Years. I can say plural.
So you're a true craft distillery.
We're a true craft distillery. So
No, but I want to say that
Yeah.
honestly though that when you go to whiskey events, Blaum Brothers does stand out from the rest of their bourbons. I really enjoy their stuff. Their ryes are really great as well. So I'm just trying to get back on that sponsorship right now. But yeah,
nice work, boy.
that's where
Here's
it all.
Here's your sack of cash. I'll hand it to the palm front.
That's where it all ends. That's where it all ends for us. That the little boy left that was waving us with the fan.
So Matt, in regards to like when you go out in the market and you are now, hey, here's my juice.
Yes.
How what's the transition like?
So at the
Hey, thanks for buying this stuff.
The
Here's my
education,
actual stuff.
right? The education piece used to be like, what is source bourbon?
Yeah.
Now it's like, hey, we're not just about that, and connecting those dots is really difficult, you know. So a couple of things, they're not done exactly on purpose, but they are incidental. We use a similar mash bill between our products. I mean, they're similar, really classic Kentucky production style. So we're using the same basic yeast strain, not the same yeast strain, but the same yeast family as Buffalo Trace.
Cool.
Where our barrel entry point is 117.5, which is right in that
middle.
little low.
Yeah.
But it's in the
I like that level though.
Yeah, I mean
I
definitely
think it
creates
offers itself. It opens itself more,
For the masses.
Yeah, I agree.
yeah.
So, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel here at all. We're going after a really classic flavor profile. So I think that helps. But yeah, I mean, the Old Fangled and the Blaum Brothers Straight Bourbon the bottles don't look alike. The Old Fangled you're not really seeing on the shelves anymore because it sells out so quickly of retail. So they have to. Your retailers have to hold it behind the desk in their special stuff bin, you know,
For
which
those, allocated.
exactly the allocated items, which is it's a great compliment, but we're missing out having Blaum Brothers and Old Fangled on the shelf next to each other. So
Wait, I'm sorry. Can you say that again?
So we're kind of missing out with a lot of retailers having the Blaum Brothers Straight Bourbon and the Old Fangled Notted Bourbon, the cast strength 12-year-old MGP stuff on the shelf next to each other.
Yeah.
Right?
How are you missing out?
Because the retailers aren't putting it on just directly on the shelf.
Oh, I see.
You know what I'm
so
saying?
the Natter
Yeah.
behind
Exactly.
the allocated and
Variety
I'm sorry.
on the
okay.
shelf together,
Gotcha.
basically, is what you're missing out on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm missing that connective tissue a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, how do you overcome that?
I'll let you know when we run out of Old Fangled. No, but
For those who have it allocated,
Yeah.
they're sitting on
Sure,
it.
so-
They're looking for that guy that specifically
What's
comes
the
in.
what's the price point? Average
what's
on that?
90 to 100
It's not
with the Old
crazy, man.
Fangled.
I mean, you see bottles on the shelves that are 120, 130.
Yeah, sure.
Without going to the back rooms.
But the thing is, I can really only send an independent retailer a case to 3 cases.
Gotcha.
So, and we only have 6-pack cases. So I'm really sending people at most 18 bottles.
Okay.
So those really do, not to toot my own horn, but toot, those sell out in a couple days.
That's
you know.
2 of 2 we got today.
Did I
Yeah.
do that joke twice?
Yeah.
You're tooting yourself pretty good.
Yeah.
I should
I
go.
think. Yeah. Well,
Let's wrap this up.
I mean, as a Liverpool supporter, I mean, we can get into it real quick. It was, I was very ambivalent about having Matt on the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So Matt and I, it's been about 2-3 months now. There's a bar we both frequent called AJ Hudson's. That's a great soccer bar here in Chicago. I walk in on a Wednesday afternoon, maybe, to watch a little Everton soccer. They are a club also based in Liverpool. I walk in, and all of a sudden,
Their stadiums are a half mile away from each other.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can
Are
literally,
they that close?
yeah,
they're
if you could
across
hear,
a public park
yeah,
and a parking lot.
You could
That's
hear,
how
you
close
could
they
hear
are.
the roars if they're both playing on the same
You
Saturday.
can hear the roar.
But they usually don't do that because traffic would be a mess. But because Liverpool is not the biggest city, but a nice city. I enjoyed it very much when I visited there and went to an Everton game. They beat the Saints. Actually, they
Can
tied.
you get to the point
Well,
about
anyway.
whatever trash you're going to talk about?
I'm not talking trash at all. Because what can I talk about a team that's in the middle of the league and the team that's second in the league right now, holding on by a thread? They had a 10-point lead about a month ago, and now they are down 1 point to Man City for the overall championship of the EPL. But that's okay. I can't say anything because Everton is like 9 or 10 place in the league on the table. But anyway,
We
back.
just lost all 10 people that were this.
Back to I mean, obviously Matt's a little distraught about this. He's rubbing his head.
not
He's
ready.
looking. He's not ready
I'm not
yet.
ready for this
I don't know why
conversation.
he's mad because their team's really great this
We
year.
have a match against some shithole team on Sunday. I think Burnley, who are
Yeah, you play Burnley.
very bad.
I have a few Liverpool
season.
players starting on my fantasy team
And
because
then- okay, good.
There's
and then
fantasy for soccer.
you better
a
believe it.
Bayern München on Wednesday in the Champions League. We have it all to play
Yeah.
for.
What are you so sad about? It's Champions League.
We had our foot on the pedal and we just took it off.
No.
And we didn't even have. So ever since January 1st,
Yeah.
we've just completely took our foot off the pedal. We haven't bottled it. We haven't.
It's
been
not for lack of
bad,
trying.
But I mean, over the past 7 matches, we've had like 5 draws or something, and 3 of those have been 0-0. And this is a team that is that has probably that had last year's best goal scorer, Mohamed Salah, Sadio Mane, Bobby Firmino, like these wonderful forwards.
Bobby's Brazilian.
Yes. Roberto, Firmino. We have this wonderful team that was doing so well in the beginning of the season that it's just, we could have taken such a great control of the season, and we didn't do that.
So what
But
listeners
there's
can
the
tell
easy
now
way.
from this is that you could go into another industry that's not just drinking and whiskey. You could go into soccer. Very
thank you.
passionate. No?
Just
You could coach a
but I
rec league
can't get-
team, maybe?
I can't get drunk as much.
Actually,
Oh, yeah, good
you
point.
you can. Yeah.
Okay, so the thing about Liverpool is we just got to keep it rolling. Got to find our, form again. Jurgen Klopp's gonna have to try and rotate in midfield a little bit. Get some of the other boys like Naby Keita.
You're getting a little too tactical now.
Big number.
No one knows who Jurgen Klopp is.
Do you want me to talk about whiskey again?
Yes.
I mean, we can talk about whiskey.
Please.
We can talk about Jurgen Klopp. We can talk about anything that you want to talk about. I'm a fan of Jurgen Klopp, even though I'm not a fan of Liverpool.
One of my daughter's books, Mr. Brown, whatever can moo or whatever that.
Is that
children's
based
book.
on you,
Dr.
Mr.
Seuss,
Brown?
It should be. It is now. Mr. Brown can moo. The horse goes clop, clop, clop.
There you go.
Klopp, just like the surname of Liverpool's coach, and I just find that interesting.
But no, it was really great to have Matt here because this is a big part of legislation that's going on right now for craft distilleries. Because when we first entered into the industry a few years back, there was barely any remnants of craft distilling. And now that you guys are be able to go, not take on the big guys, but definitely be able to say, hey, we're here, we want to grow together as a distill. I'm not sure why we're laughing.
It was such a classic. I don't know if it'll be picked up, but the noise of Wilson uncorking my bottle was like
we love the noise of
great
that.
Foley work.
We couldn't do it with the Old Forester because it's a twist off. So
No, it's a twist off.
Now we have that. But yeah, it's really cool to see that the distillers are coming together
Yep.
to unite and basically become more of an industry within the state
Yes.
because it's only ever growing. With the breweries growing,
Yep.
I think we have 225 breweries now
Yeah.
in Illinois, and most of that's in the
600,
Chicago
600
area.
brewery licenses.
Is it that many?
600 brewery licenses.
Wow, that's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's a lot.
Maybe it's Chicago. There's 225 in the Chicagoland area.
There might be
225, what, like breweries?
breweries, yeah.
Here's the thing. So we have the same thing with distillery licenses.
Yeah.
Like there is like 60 distillery licenses
Definitely.
out there, but like realistically, like 35 are probably active.
Yeah, and while those
So it's
licenses are probably
similar
just
to
probably breweries buying a distillery license because actually it's cheaper for them to do that than actually get an alcohol license to sell
Yep.
alcohol,
Yep.
make cocktails inside of their
It's
distillery.
only
brewery.
$1,800, guys. So if you have $1,800, you can have a distillery license.
Really?
Yep, that's all.
So why
Go
I'm
nuts.
gonna go downstairs and talk to Kevin about this right now, the owner of Beguile, because all I want to do is have him make delicious beer cocktails that Wilson and I designed over the last few years with him in partnerships with our other distilleries we've worked for in the past. So
They can just distill flannel pajamas. I bet it'd be really, really good.
I think so.
that'd be great.
Or
It would be
Freebird.
really- or
We had done some cocktails with flannel pajamas, so it's pretty tasty.
you go.
But yeah, Matt, any parting words?
No. When's this coming out?
We'll probably post this on Sunday evening, Monday morning.
Can I plug something for March 25th?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Great. So March 25th, that's a Monday.
Chicago Whiskey Week.
Chicago Whiskey Week. Kick it off at the Delta.
Oh, nice.
So that's on Chicago Avenue, 3 blocks east of Damon, a block west of Ashland, 1700 something.
Cool.
So me and the Delta are doing a 4-course dinner. or 4 course dinner there.
Nice.
So their sister store, which is it's a retail store called Off Premise. It's in the Lakeview or
Great
Lincoln
store.
Park.
Great store, yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
It's on Armitage, 2 blocks east of Racine. So they did a single barrel store pick of the Old Fangled Nodder bourbon.
Nice.
So it's a wonderful barrel number 981. I'm kind of sad to see it go,
Why?
but because it's so good, I want to go to the distillery and
Yeah.
thief some whiskey out and drink it. But I
We should
can't
do that right
anymore.
now.
Nothing wrong with that.
I should do that right now. So anyway, so the barrel's actually already sold.
Okay.
So it did Adam, the
Pre-sell.
owner of Off Premise, was able to pre-sell
Nice.
all of it.
Nice.
So that's what, 150 bottles?
No,
Or did it come
because
in-
it's 12 years old.
12
it
years
was
old, yeah.
120 bottles or
Nice.
So
something.
you went barrel strength on it.
Oh baby, yeah,
Good
we did.
for
Oh, baby,
150.
yeah.
So
Good for you.
this barrel was 115 proof. Anyways,
Nice.
So March 25th, 4 courses, 2 or 3 Blaum cocktails, and a
Nice.
pour of Adam's Barrel.
Cool.
So barrel number 981 that is sold out of retail.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to drink it there, along with some other like exclusive Blaum Brothers pours that of discontinued barrels and stuff like that. $100. That's
Nice.
tax gratuity included.
Yeah, that's
everything.
great.
March 25th.
It's a good price. You
Yeah,
know,
thank you.
It's a good plug.
lucky for you, maybe.
Good plug.
I was supposed to be covering another distillery's 4-course meal that night,
Well,
but
then.
that got canceled.
Oh!
So I'm free to shoot and cover that.
Are
I
you
mean-
boys my plus twos?
Oh no!
At
I mean,
March
I just
25th?
I just bring a camera. I don't
I
need
never
to eat.
say
I don't need
any-
to.
I
Well,
never say no to a
I shouldn't
plus.
say I don't need to drink, but I was supposed to cover this event for somebody else for another publication that I may or may not write for, and I mean, my evening is open now, so because of a cancellation.
Jakey, it sounds like we're doing a live
Hey, you know,
mini
something-
episode
speaking of
from
retail, I'm sorry,
the Delta.
Matt just said his goodbyes and all of it. Not completely, but I do have a quick question. Though.
Oh, I'm still here.
He's
Fabulous.
still here.
So-
The small boy has left, but
Your small boy left.
It turned-
Sorry. That just
How
does
did it
not
turn to a
sound-
small boy?
Yeah, that just does not sound right. Anyways.
Hello,
so-
Jake. I'm still here. Jake.
that's Wilson's son in the background.
The question. that
Hey
I
Jake, it's me,
have-
the small boy. Do you need anything else before I get out of here? I already punched out, but I can punch back in, do something for you.
No more fanning today.
All right, see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
I love you.
Like I told you, you're either in or you're out.
Yeah, there was no children
There is-
employed
there
on
is
this
no
episode of the
middle ground with
podcast.
Matt
So
Brown.
yeah, but
The
thank you
only
for that.
people out at this point are the legal team of Barton 1792 for slandering their name on this podcast.
Probably, you know, they
We didn't
probably-
name any distributor names, so we should be good there. So yeah, but anyway, back to your question.
Oh yeah, sorry. Oh, so
Retail.
Matt. I forgot my question.
Well, you're talking about retail.
no, retail. Yes. So, if it's my understanding that one of the sections of the bill that's being lobbied right now for the small distilleries, as we were talking about earlier, there is a portion of it that would allow for each of you to sell one another's spirits.
Yes. Yep.
Which I think is kick-ass.
I agree. I would love to have a shelf at our gift shop featuring Whiskey Acres, Koval, Chicago Distilling. Oh my God! Can you imagine if each of us distilleries could sell Chicago Distilling canned cocktails?
Yeah.
There's no competition there.
There is no
They make a
cross-competition
wonderful product there.
It's a solid product. Jay does a kick-ass job over there at Chicago Distilling. So here's the question. Then.
Yes.
How do you deal with, I guess you could say, the popularity of it? I mean, because what if you have Blaum all
Yes.
over
Yeah.
Blaum, then you've got the other, call it 5 distillers.
So are you
decide to-
asking if like you could lose lose
Yeah,
product because
yeah.
you might be serving somebody else? Like, hey, I'm a fan now of this distillery
I'm
more.
not saying maybe not so much. I'm not asking as far as luster. I'm thinking
Yeah.
more like, hey, instead of me having to go all the way into Chicago,
Okay.
where I have to pick that up, I can now pick it up in Galeno alongside my favorite Blaum. You know what I'm saying?
So I would address this
And would that go beyond the
right.
retail? Will it go into the tasting room as well?
I don't. It wouldn't apply to the how much we can sell of what
Thank
we
you.
make.
Okay, that was a
Exactly.
question B.
Right. So first of all, I would say, at the end of the day, none of us. This goes to the self-distribution piece.
Right.
None of us distilleries want to be retail stores. We don't want to be Benny's. We don't want to be off-premise. We don't want to be Independent Spirits LLC.
Yeah.
As much as we don't want to be distributors. That's just not part of our business plan.
It's too big for any distiller to
Right.
get all that
So
on. Yes.
if selling other people's stuff would be such a small piece of the puzzle, and especially it would be like just icing on the cake, because the cake is selling what we make. We get that great margin selling it out the front door,
Correct.
as opposed to the distributor who are going to take their cut.
Cool.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's selling other people's stuff from our facility is just extra.
Definitely.
We're keeping the lights on, selling our whiskey. We're giving Dennis the tour guide an extra $2 an hour.
Yeah.
Who's selling Chicago distilling.
Definitely.
I mean,
You know?
that's
And that's a great way to put it.
That's a very good point.
It's a great, and that's a great way to kind of like close off here. As my computer's dying as we're recording this
I can't
podcast.
express like how immediate these. I mean, they're not sexy issues,
Yeah.
ones that we're proposing
Absolutely.
as the ICDA, but I can't express how immediate these are.
It's important
Almost all of these distilleries are family owned. Obviously,
100%.
Blaum Brothers family owned.
Correct.
We're not looking to strike a rich and sell out.
No.
We're just honestly, almost everyone in the ICDA, we are looking to start a company that our kids can do.
Oh yeah.
Honestly,
Great.
that's what we're after.
That's awesome.